morning, children. Welcome to Harleen ma'am's class. Images, grade 7, Macavity, the Mystery Cat by T.S. Eliot. Who is Macavity? Who is this mystery cat? Macavity is a fictional character, children, written by T.S. Eliot in his book of poems. He's an American poet and dramatist. Macavity has a very uncanny resemblance with Professor, a character from Sir Arthur. I hope you all have read about Sherlock Holmes. Yes. Now in this poem, we are going to read about Macavity, the mystery cat who's called the Napoleon of crime and is responsible for every crime which is committed and leaves no evidence behind and is undetected by the city. Macavity is also called the hidden paw in this poem and a mystery cat. He's a master criminal who is responsible for all the crimes and leaves no evidence. Yes, let's start this poem. Macavity, Macavity, there's no one like Macavity. Macavity is a mystery cat. He's called the hidden paw, for he's a master criminal who can defy the law. He's the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad's despair, for when they reach the scene of crime, Macavity's not. I'll go for the first stanza by stanza. Children, Macavity is an amusing poem about this very clever cat called Macavity. And Macavity is also called the hidden paw. Why is it called the hidden paw? Because it never leaves any evidence behind. The crime is committed and nobody has any clue who's done it because there's no evidence. For he's a master criminal who can defy the law. He has broken every law, every human law. Now T.S. Eliot describes Macavity as a mysterious cat, villainous character, and he's a criminal mastermind who disregards the law. Enigmatic though, he's the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad's despair. They have no hope. All the detective agencies have no hope and scope of finding Macavity when the crime is discovered. For when they reach the scene of crime, who reaches the scene of crime? The detective agencies like the Scotland Yard and the flying squads. What happens? Yes, Macavity is not there. Bafflement, puzzle, alright? Macavity, Macavity, there's no one like Macavity. He's broken every human law. He breaks the law of gravity. His powers of levitation would make a fakir stare. And when you reach the scene of crime, Macavity is not there. You may seek him in the basement, you may look up in the air, but I tell you once and once again, Macavity is not there. We move on. The second stanza, here the poet is describing Macavity is breaking every human law, disobeys the law of gravity. Whatever goes up has to come down, right? The law of gravity. But he can even get the fakir stare, because fakirs, they have this ability to rise up above the ground. So Macavity can do that, and hence the fakir stares and wonders, how powerful is Macavity here. And when you reach the scene of crime, when there's a crime which has been committed, and again the detective agencies are there, what happens? Macavity is not there. You may seek him in the basement. You may search for him in the basement. You can go in the basement and look for him. You may go up and look up in the air. But I tell you once again, Macavity is not there. Macavity is a ginger cat. He's very tall and thin. You would know him if you saw him. His eyes are sunken in. His brow is deeply lined with thought, and his head is highly tall. His coat is dusty with neglect. His whiskers are uncombed. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. And when you think he's fast asleep, he's always wide awake. Well, we move on to the third stanza. Children, in the third stanza, T.S. Eliot has physically described the features of Macavity, the mystery cat. What kind of a cat is this? It's a ginger-colored cat, and both tall and thin. You will not miss out Macavity if you ever see him somewhere. Why is that? Because his eyes are sunken in, and his brow is always lined with thought. He's very intelligent. He's a master criminal, and his head is also dome-shaped. His coat is dusty. Why is the coat dusty? He's not a pet cat. And his whiskers are uncombed. They are unkempt. He sways his head like movements like a snake. And when you just think that he's half asleep, Macavity is wide awake. Macavity, there's no one like Macavity, for he's a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by street, you may seek him in a square, but when the crime's committed, Macavity is not there. Children, the poet further tells us that he is a wicked person, he's a devil in the shape of a cat, a monster of depravity. He's a monster, he's the ultimate of wickedness. You may meet him, you may see him in one of the by streets, you may see him in a very common place like the square, but let me tell you one thing. Just when the crime has been discovered, there's some crime committed, Macavity is not there. He doesn't leave any evidence and clue like I mentioned earlier. He's outwardly respectable. They say he cheats his cards, and his footprints are not found in any file of Scotland's Yard. And when the larders looted or the jewel cases rifled. And when the larders looted or the jewel case is rifled, or when the milk is missing, or another peck has been stifled, or the greenhouse glass is broken and the trellis past repair, yea, there's the wonder of the thing, Macavity is not there. In this stanza, the poet is further describing and telling us all the crimes committed by Macavity. What are the crimes? The larder is looted, a place where food is stored. Of course, cats also do that. And yes, the jewel case has also been, he's outwardly respectable. They say he cheats at cards, and his footprints are not found in any file of Scotland Yards. And when the larder is looted or the jewel case is rifled, or when the milk is missing or another pig been stifled, or the greenhouse glass is broken and the trellis past repair, and there's the wonder of the thing, Macavity is not there. In this stanza, the poet further describes all the crimes committed by Macavity. He's outwardly respectable. They say he's very respectable, but they say that he cheats his card. He's trying to make him look like a human character. His footprints, no evidence is found in the detective agencies or in the police at Scotland Yards. And when the larder's looted, or the jewel case is rifled, or the milk is missing, or another small Chinese dog pig has been stifled, he's been, suffocated, or the greenhouse glass is broken and the trellis is past repair. You cannot repair the framework. You cannot repair it anymore. Hey, there's a wonder of the thing. Why? Because Macavity is not there. It is done. All these crimes are committed by Macavity. But what is the wonder of the thing? There's no evidence. There's no clue because he is a mystery cat. And when the Foreign Office find a treaties gone astray, or the Admiralty lose some plans and drawings, by the way, there may be a scrap of picture in the hall or on the stair, but it's useless to investigate. Macavity is not there. And when the loss has been discovered, the Secret Service say it must have been Macavity, but he's half a mile away. You'll be sure to find him resting or licking on his thumb or engaged in doing complicated long division sums. In this stanza, children, the poet is further telling us the crime Macavity, yes, something like a treaty, some important papers, when they go missing from the office, it is Macavity. They all know it's just useless to investigate because all the agencies know that it's Macavity. And the Secret Service always say, you know what, it must have been Macavity. But where is Macavity? He has an alibi. He's sitting some half a mile away. He's licking his thumb. Or, he's just relaxing. And he's occupied, busy doing some long division sums. He always has an alibi or two. We move on to the last stanza. Macavity, Macavity, there's no one like Macavity. There never was a cat of such faithfulness and certainty. He always has an alibi and one or two to spare. At whatever time the deed took place, Macavity wasn't there. And we see that all the cats whose wicked deeds are widely known. I might mention Mongo Jerry, I might mention Griddlebone, are nothing more than agents for the cat who all the time just controls their operations, the Napoleon of crime. In the last stanza, that tells us about all the tactfulness and the deceitfulness of Macavity. When the crime is committed, he always has an alibi. He always has an alibi that he was somewhere else or he's not there anywhere, right? And they have no clue and evidence. Macavity is not there. And yes, the poet has further mentioned Mongo Jerry and Griddlebone, the other cats whose wicked deeds are widely known, but they are just agents of Macavity. Why? Because Macavity is the Napoleon of crime. So that was Macavity for you. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed and you understood the poem. Yes, please do subscribe and like and share the channel. Goodbye, children. Bye-bye.